All right. So for our first question, boss, this situation came up recently with a client, and we thought it was a great one to ask you. If someone has not filed taxes in 5 years, what is the first thing you look at to help them catch up safely?
Yeah. So first you got to look at transcripts. So if you go to the IRS and you set up an account, you can download transcripts. If you don't have an account, you can have them mailed to you or faxed to you. So the faxing is fun because the IRS does not believe in e-faxing. They don't believe that system exists. And so you'll be on the phone with somebody and they'll say, okay, is it coming through right now? And you'll say, yes. And they'll say, okay, I'll send the next, you know, it's crazy how technologically inept they are. But you get transcripts. There's different kinds of transcripts. What you'll want first of all is a wage and income transcript because what happens after years is that people lose stuff. So I've lost stuff, my own tax things, and so you want to make sure you're not when you do file something you're not missing things because that'll just trigger another round of letters and whatever. So you want to avoid all that. Also, what happens after 3, 4, sometimes 5 years is the IRS will file what is called a substitute for return, SFR. And so they'll take whatever information they have on file from third party sources like 1099s or W-2s or whatever, and they'll create like a composite tax return based on the worst possible set of assumptions. And if you owe money at the end of that process, you'll get a letter. That's how my tax problem started because I hadn't filed for several years. Put some stuff together, and they say, "Hey, you owe $1.3 million." And if you would have gotten a refund under whatever assumptions they built, then you'll never hear from them because they do it after the statute of limitations. So there's different statutes of limitation. Um, the relevant one here is the 3 years to claim a refund. So we are in 2025 right now. The filing due date for 2025 is going to be April 15th, 2026. And I have not checked if that's on the weekends because if it's the weekend, we'll go to the next month. But normally April 15th, right? And so the 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 statute of limitation for getting a refund from tax year 2025 is going to be 3 years past the April 15th, 2026 due date. So April 15th, 2029. If you file a 2025 return in 2030, you are past that due date. And even if you were due a refund, you'll get a letter from the IRS saying, oh, you were due a refund, but so sorry, you waited too long. Tough luck. So, it's funny how they do these SFRs after that has expired. Anyway, uh, so at 5 years, you might have tripped into that process. It kind of depends on their workload. Uh, so that's the thing to check first, because if they have filed a substitute for return, you have to file, when you file your return, you got to put some language at the top of the tax return saying, hey, filed in lieu of, whatever. There's a citation you put in there. So that's number one. Check transcripts, see if an SFR has been done, and see what's on the wage and income transcripts to see what we're dealing with. Because a lot of people just lose stuff, like I said.
Gotcha.
And then it's, you file a return as best as you are able from that information. One of the things that's changed with transcripts over the years is that in before like 2019 or somewhere around there, the full information was available as far as the headers, as far as like who paid what and what their EIN was. And now you can still get that, but you have to go through a special process. The regular transcripts are truncated. So they only show like the first 4 or 6 characters. I think it's 4 characters. And so if you know what those things were, you can usually figure it out. If you don't, that can be tough. But yeah, that's step one whenever we're dealing with old returns like that.